Hey YouTube, this afternoon I'm going to fly from, where are we, no, we were at San Clemente, then we flew to San Nicolas, and now we're going to fly to, well this is a little bit of an enigma to me because I was talking about Santa Claus, and maybe because this is Nicolas, maybe Santa Claus, you know, comes here for vacation, but then when I realized that Santa Catalina was where we're flying at. Between Nicholas and Santa, I'm really starting to think I'm onto something here. This must be where Santa comes for vacations. In any case, Santa Catalina has a waypoint. It is 111.4, so I'm going to try tuning into that to see if that's something that we can use to guide us there. If not, I'll just program it into the GPS, and I'll probably also go ahead and program an RNAV landing if one is available. So I've got SkyVector pulled up, and I'm going to have a look at that here in a second. So instrument approach, I don't see a whole lot. ATIS is 120.675. What did I say? 111.4? 111.4. And nothing's showing up there. At least not yet. It's about 53 miles away, 53 nautical miles. Plus, I want to kind of veer off to the small island that's in between San Nicolas and Santa Catalina. It's a very small island, but I just kind of wanted to do a slow fly by it. Okay, so flight plan. San Nicolas is KAVX. Catalina, that's a good salad dressing too. You have to excuse me, I have some bagel spice tea here with me while I'm doing this. Alright, I want to select, because we're not flying to KNSI, we're flying to KAVX, and then do proc on that. KAVX. Yeah, and see, I'm not liking either of these, so I'm not even going to do an approach for this. We'll do clear here, and then I will do menu and activate leg, so it puts it in there for us to fly from KNSI to KAVX. So when I should have that direct line now. That's all I was going for there. And then hopefully within certain range. Now again, like Santa Catalina and San Nicolas, I don't know if they're owned or operated by the military or anything like that. I just know that since I've been out here on these islands, none of these VORs have worked for me whatsoever. So I can't necessarily count on those. I'm going to have to rely on the GPS or rely on visual cues. Like that small island, I could probably easily fly to it and then from there fly to Santa Catalina. And then since it's such a small island, it shouldn't be too much trouble to actually fly around and find a decent runway to land at. So it could be all visual, but I went ahead and programmed it in the GPS anyways. Alright, let me turn the avionics off and get the aircraft started. No special livery for this flight. I think I'm using the X-Plane 10 livery for the Cessna, actually. So before we lift off, but when I get on the runway, actually let's go this way because I want to take off in that direction. When I get on the runway, what I'm going to do is I'll test the flaps, rudders, yaw, ailerons, all of that, and we'll also set magnetic north before we take off. And I'm extending the flaps now, so we can just have a spot check on those and make sure that they're actually extended. It sounded like they extended. And given that it's a simulator, they're all working. We're just going through the motions. What's not working is magnetic north. I always have to set it. Is that enough runway? We're going to find out. All right. 3-0. Good enough. I'm good with that. And lift off, rotating. Landing and taxi lights coming off. Flaps are retracted. And I'm going to be turning on the autopilot here. We'll climb to about 2,000 feet. There's the island. So actually, let me set the heading bug towards the island. And we'll do the heading bug. Reducing my throttle to get about 2,500 RPMs. There's the X-Plane 10 livery. Not a bad looking aircraft. I like it. Once we get closer to the island, I will disengage the autopilot and do a low fly. We are picking up the VOR for Santa Catalina. I don't know when it showed up, but I was just looking specifically to see if it did. So I'm happy about that. And with that being said, the bearing for that should be 067. So I will fly VOR to Santa Catalina and not use the GPS. With that being said, let's go ahead and delete the flight plan. A direct tube flight from San Nicolas to Santa Catalina would be about 30 minutes, roughly, um, with the exclusion of whatever time it takes you to get into the air and shut off the aircraft and replace and whatnot. Let me see here. I can't actually add a waypoint or anything, but it's going to add a few extra minutes, so I anticipate the flight will be about 40-45 minutes. Depending on how slow I go. Since I haven't decreased my speed much as we're descending, that will save some time. I didn't fly around San Nicolas because it was such a small island, and as I was landing I was looking at it and it didn't seem like there was much there, not much point in actually flying around it. And so far all of these islands, that's pretty much what I've been experiencing. San Clemente, San Nicolas, and I anticipate Santa Catalina will be the same way. Nothing much to see, but I'd still like to fly over there and have a look just in case. From Santa Catalina, I anticipate that we'll be heading back over to mainland. I don't know of any other islands. From mainland, probably north a little bit till we hit San Francisco. Have a look around San Francisco. I'm not sure if I'll continue north or anywhere, any other cities around San Francisco, but definitely have a look at San Francisco, and then maybe turning south and heading towards Tijuana and South America. In the past, I've actually visited Tijuana, crossed the borders a couple of times. I mean, in my youth, I was maybe a teenager at the time. I'll do an altitude hold at 1,000 feet. We're descending, what, 1,000 feet per minute, so it's going rather slow. Excuse me, 100 feet per minute. With that being said, we have 1 more minute before I hit the altitude hold button. Actually, I think instead of hitting the altitude hold button, I'm going to go ahead and disengage the autopilot and manually fly the rest of the distance to the island. I don't like this side so much because of the jagged shadows. Now, I kind of like the front of the island where I'm heading to right now. I'm liking the look of this area for some reason, so I'm going to go direct to that, and then I'll fly around the island and go back. I think I'll fly around it maybe at 90 knots. A little sailboat over there. beacon or antenna or something over there. Try to fly by that close, see what that is. Wasn't expecting to see anything out here on this island. So that's weird. Close-up view of the side of that. That's where we're going. Right now what's happening is we're intercepting this path here. We'll end up turning left once we intercept it, the radial. I could change it and we could fly directly from where we're at to it. Let me do that. We'll climb to 2,000 feet and do an altitude hold. The airport isn't exactly in the center of the island, but roughly in the center of the island. Alright, altitude hold. See some reflections of the clouds off of the water. That's where we left. Flew over here. Now we're flying here. And all of that you can see out there, that's got to be mainland. So how do I know that I'm flying to the waypoint? Well, we have this that says to with a little arrow that points in that direction. We are heading in roughly the right direction. I've eyeballed SkyVector and determined that a heading of 085 degrees would be about what we need to be doing, and we are, for the most part, at 085 degrees. The other thing that we can look at is right here. We need to ensure that this number is decreasing, which means we're getting closer to it. And we should be able to get a visual on the runway. It'll be off to the left of the VOR, or the waypoint. We should be able to get a visual on that and land. It must be a rather small runway if I can't do an RNAV landing at it. Or an ILS for that matter. It may not even have PAPI lights. Maybe dirt. The VOR name is SXC, and I'm seeing it show up on the G530. So there's the VOR. We're heading directly to it, as our little VOR1 indicator suggests. Is that my windshield or cloud? I guess it's my windshield. Another 16 miles to the VOR, and the airport is probably within a mile of the VOR. So when I'm within 10 miles, I'll probably start slowing the aircraft down, maybe to 100 knots or something, just kind of get a feel for the area where I'm going to be landing, and then determine my approach. I have no guided, so it'll be all manual, all visual. It's a nice big island. It looks like it's bigger than San Clemente. But it looks sparse. Doesn't look like it has much vegetation on it. Just like a heap of dirt. I might fly around in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 sometime and see what it looks like. This island in Microsoft Flight Simulator. And I might have to increase my altitude by the look of that heap of dirt right there. And we are heading right for it. So I think in 10 miles, within 10 miles, I will manually take control of the aircraft. And I would think, seeing the VOR, if it were a big airport, we would see it. And I don't see it. So it's going to be a tough one to spot, I think. And if it turns out to be a real challenge, I'll just fly over to the mainland and land somewhere there. We got plenty of fuel. I'm going to hold off on disengaging the autopilot for a little longer. I want to get much closer to the VOR waypoint. So the airport, the runway should be right around here. Some power lines. Doesn't look like anything on the front of the island, so we might have to go up over those mountains. Six miles from the waypoint. I didn't even see that. I was hoping I would see that when I zoomed in. Ah, there it is. So if the waypoint's up there, the runway's up there. I'm going to do an altitude hold at 2,500 feet. We'll fly directly to the waypoint and then take a hard left and start looking for the runway. Or I can use my binoculars. I'm seeing buildings over here, so that's probably a good clue. So I'm going to disengage the autopilot and just do a flyby. I think I see it. Alright, so about halfway down the runway and 3/4 of the way down the runway I can exit right. I see a vehicle approaching the runway about where I need to land. Or power. Just a little bitty runway. It's enough for a Cessna, more than definitely. I know that was a hard one. Runways usually don't just come up on me like that. That thing felt like it was coming at me at 100 miles an hour. And I was doing what, 50 nautical miles? And it just got big fast, and then it looked like I was running out of space very quickly. So I was hard on the brakes. All right, and I'm pretty sure I slammed the landing gear down on that one, but let's have a look at the replay. Yeah, not much of a flare on that. That runway was there before I even realized what was happening. Almost, it was like, let me do it back in the cockpit, just a quick replay right before touchdown, because it just like it seemed all right. You know, everything seemed just fine, and then when I got right up on it, I was like, oh man, shoot! Didn't even have time to pull up. Just see, I probably should have been nosing up right there, but I waited till I got over the runway, and it was too late. And then the uneven pavement made me worried too, so that's why I was hard on the brakes. It's all good. We're safe. Those trees leave a lot to be desired. Now see, that aircraft wasn't there when I pulled in. I was there first. I did not pull into an aircraft like that, did I? Nah, he wasn't there. Alright, YouTube, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.